Um, Now, do we have any announcements, Diane, about when the official opening of our Family History Center is?
In July, but we're going to discuss that in our meeting right after this meeting.
Okay, we're not ready to make any announcements yet, but it is going to open. Okay. And at the end of our lesson, I'm going to ask, what all the participants, what is the time and day that you would like a lesson best? Also, it is fine with me if everybody unmutes themselves and interrupts me if you have questions while I'm talking. I get very concentrating on what I'm saying, and I don't always look at your faces to see if you're frowning because you don't agree with me, or if you're nodding because you do agree with me, or you have a question on your face. So go ahead and speak up. So all of you feel free to do that. Elliot Bryant, I'm glad you're here. I haven't met you before, I don't think, but you're welcome. I'm glad you're here tonight. And now I see Ed also. I like it better when I have somebody here to listen to me. Tonight, our topic is getting started with ancestry. Some of you have heard me say before, I always felt loyalty to the brand and kind of stuck with Family Search. And when I kind of got ambitious and tried Ancestry, I was very surprised at how much Ancestry has and how we really need to work with both of them. To get our best results, we really need to work with both. So the first thing I want to do tonight is talk to you a little bit about databases. And I'm going to show you why it's useful and why everybody doesn't have to have one, but why I'm glad I did. So I'm going to share my screen. Oh, we've got one chat. Let's see what it is. Same time works for me. That's from Brother Bryant. Okay. Thanks for letting us know. And your preferred language is English? Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, which means you will see my screen, and I'm going to open up the program called Ancestral File. Now, Ancestral File was written by the same man who wrote PATH, and PATH was the groundbreaking program that was called Personal Ancestral File that used the computer for people to keep track of their pedigrees and their family group sheets, and then later their sources that gave them that information. It was really the groundbreaking beginning program. And when the church said, our missionaries are too busy, we're not going to have missionaries anymore to answer people's questions about Personal Ancestral File, and we're not going to try to keep it updated in this busy world of ongoing computer discoveries, he renamed it Ancestral Quest and still made it available. So when I open up, well, I guess I do want to start with my pedigree chart, but I want to start with my home of my pedigree chart with me. So I started entering, and this was, so very many years ago, my family tree into PATH. And at the time I thought, I have 200 ancestors, I think. I think that I will start adding them. And I started first by adding myself and then my parents, and worked back one generation at a time. And as I added each person, I kind of made sure that everything I had on them in my paper files was listed, and that I got their temple work done if their temple work wasn't done, and I worked backwards. At the time, I thought that my ancestor Hugh Michael, who was the farthest that I knew back, the father right here of Charles Michael, that was the farthest I knew, and that I thought maybe I would have 200 ancestors altogether. Well, it was interesting that Hugh Michael was number 200, but I was nowhere near entering them all in. And I have kept up this database not as diligently as I used to. Nowadays, I make discoveries that sometimes I forget to put in. But anything that I have in this database, I know I put in, and I am confident that to my research standards, this information is correct. Now, since I did this, the church decided to computerize and make available, and it started out being called New Family Search. Now it's called Family Search. And it is the program that we use today. And it is a marvelous program. And the way that we get to it is, we go to our browser, and I use Chrome. And on my Chrome bar, I have this icon that says Free Family History, and that's what showed up when I wanted to put in Family Search. And so here I have Family Search. And I can go to the Family Tree part of Family Search and go to Tree. And I guess I have to sign in. That probably means I haven't signed in quite lately. Or else I didn't click the save for 2 weeks. Were you asking something, John?
Yeah, where do you keep your database? Do you keep that on old floppies or what?
No, I keep it in my hard drive in my computer.
Okay.
And so here is, I guess you don't see the pictures at all from Zoom in the middle of the screen. Okay.
Yeah.
You do see them? You don't see Zoom at all? Okay. So this is now my pedigree chart. And when I was baptized, my parents told the ward clerk, probably filled out a paper, who they were and when my birthday was and when their birthdays were. And because of this, when I first opened Family Search for the first time, it showed me my parents, and it showed me their parents, because when they were baptized, they had told the ward clerk what their birthdays were and who their parents were. So immediately, the first time that I opened up Family Search, it went back a little bit, and it told a little bit. Now, if my parents were living and had not been baptized, it would not have told me beyond them. But so that's just something that's good about Family Search, is it gives us a head start if we're members of the church. And Family Search is great. And we talked about it last week, about what some of the wonderful things about Family Search are. But tonight we're talking about Ancestry. So the first thing I want to do is show us how to get a free account to Ancestry. Ancestry developed Ancestry before the church developed Family Search. And they charge to join Ancestry. A year ago, the cost per month to join Ancestry was $25 for a plain account. To join Family Search, the cost is $0. So that is, free is wonderful. Now, we've talked before, what are the differences between Ancestry and Family Search? One of them is price. The biggest difference is that here is my pedigree chart on Family Search. Anybody that opens up Family Search and does a search for one of my ancestors sees the same exact information about that ancestor that I see when I look up that ancestor. So if I look up my grandpa, Claude Walter Everett, I am going to see the exact same page about my grandfather as any of you would see if you looked up my grandfather. And you could do that by looking up find. And you would be able to find him and would be able to read it. Now, if you wanted to change something about my grandfather, if you do something about him that I didn't know, you could change it. If I do something that you didn't know, or I found out something new, I could add it. That's a shared family tree. Now, when Ancestry was developing Ancestry, the first thing they did was they just developed searches. Then later they added to it the ability to have a tree. So if I come over, well, let's start here. If I come over and I go to this question mark and I click on it, I get a list of things to do. One of the things to do is the Help Center. So if I click on the Help Center, then I get over to here. And I keep having to move my Zoom out of the way. And if I click down, goodness gracious. What did I do wrong? I did it last week over and over.
You scroll to the bottom.
Well, what I'm trying to do is I went to the Help Center to find.
Looks like they've moved things around.
Have they moved things around since the last week?
It sure looks like it because I'm seeing the same view that you're seeing. I'm trying
Okay,
to.
so I'm going to type it in. What I want is partner sites. The church recognized that other companies can benefit from being partners with Family Search, and we can, and Family Search, that we both do better.
Oh, I found it, Nancy. I found
Okay.
it. If you click on where it says search by topic, where those little color circles are, and click more or something like that, just arrow back a minute. Just arrow.
Oh, that's definitely not what we want.
Go ahead and go into it again.
We want free family tree.
Okay, click on your, like you did a minute ago.
On the question mark.
Yeah. And then the Help
What-
Center again.
And then Help Center.
Okay, now scroll down just a little bit. Keep scrolling. Now where it says view all, click view all.
Oh, view all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there it
okay.
is, right there in the middle, right where your mouse is.
Family Search Partners. Yes, they have changed this since last Sunday. Last
Yes.
Sunday, instead, we got a clasped hands to show we were partners. Okay. Now we go to Partner Access and we click on it. And now we get a list of all the companies that are partners with Family Search. And we can see as we read these that a benefit of Family Search is that the church and Family Search have partnered with other accounts that are very valuable and that are willing to share. These companies all find that by having more members and by having access to some of the other things that the church has, that they are benefited as well as we're benefited. So we can come here to ancestry.com and join for free. Now, if we go to ancestry.com and say we want to join, it'll cost us $25 a month. So we definitely want to do it this way, where we come and join for free. And so when we come and join for free, then we end up with access to our main page at Ancestry. And it will say that, well, I will have to set up my profile, but it's right here. And I have set mine up and it says that I'm Nancy Hugo. And most of the time, I don't need to look up what my profile looks like, but I will later in the lesson. Over here is a wheel, a settings wheel, and it says custom settings. If there is something about this page that I wish didn't show every time, I could go to this custom wheel and I could take it off. For the present, I'm happy with it set up this way. I'm sure that people that use it a whole lot choose something else they want to show on their main page, but that's fine for me. So now I am a member of Ancestry. Now, if I come to Ancestry Home, I'm seeing the page that we're looking at now. The first thing I want to do on Ancestry is put my own tree onto Ancestry. So if I come to Trees and click on the word Trees, one of the main words is going to be Create and Manage Trees, and another one is going to be Import Tree from Family Search. So now I have to realize that there are 4 ways, or at least 4 main ways that I know about, to get my information about my ancestors, my pedigree chart, and the people that are on my pedigree chart and related to them into Ancestry. Now, the quickest way to get a quick beginning is to do Import Tree from Family Search. And if I put Insert Import Tree from Family Search, it tells me that I have to sign into Family Search. So that's easy to do. And then it says it wants me to name my tree. So let's call it Class, because we're having a class now. Okay, and then I have to decide, do I want other people to see this tree? I have to decide if I want it to be public or private. And if it's private, then this is where Ancestry is, well, this is where Ancestry is different than Family Search. When it is private, only me or somebody I give permission to can see this tree. But if I want other people to collaborate with me, I am going to choose public. So here I named my tree Class, and I check that I want others to be able to see the tree unless they're living. And if they're living, it's only going to have a space that says living, and it's not going to have any information about that person. And that's privacy that we might fuss about, but we really all want it. And then I'm going to put Save. And it says, it's creating my tree by importing 4 generations from Family Search. And when the import is complete, I'll be able to access my tree from the tree menu. So I'm going to say Start, and it's already done 40%. So because it is a partner site and an approved site from Family Search and Ancestry can talk together. Family Search can also talk to the other partner sites that we saw and to some databases. So the database that I use is Ancestral Quest. The database that they suggest BYU students get is Roots Magic. It used to be that the Legacy was considered to be the premier database. But now it says my tree has finished uploading. Okay, so now that my tree is finished uploading, if I go to the word trees again, I see that I have a tree named Class. So if I click on that tree, I see 4 generations of my family.
Can you only go to 4?
You go to 4 at first. Then, if I want more than 4, and I certainly do, I come over here and everybody that has an arrow after it, so let's go to Lily Wade. If I click on Lily Wade, then it can import 4 more generations for me. What do I do, Diane, to get it to do 4 more generations? I always remember that it did it automatically, and it didn't.
Well, one thought, but not everybody could do this if they don't have Ancestral Quest or Roots Magic. But one thought is like you were showing Ancestral Quest at the very, very beginning. If you do a GEDCOM of that,
I'm going to get to that in a minute. That's way number 3. Got to get your name in. Okay. So while I'm on this screen, I'm going to show you.
I think, Nancy, you have to be on their person page or whatever, their individual page.
It. That's the answer. Of course, of course, of course. So if I go back to Lily Wade, and when I clicked on her, I get her index card. but I usually am going to want to see her profile. And as soon as I click on her profile, something interesting happens. And that is this little icon is added up here in the top. And it is a picture of a tree with square leaves, because that's the logo for Family Search. And it also has a check mark on it. It doesn't always already have a check mark. Goodness gracious, these pictures keep getting in my way. So this says Family Search is talking to Ancestry about Lily Wade. And it gives me these options. One is I can look to see if all of her, to who's on Family Search. And if I haven't already done that, I would want to. I can view this person on Family Search, or I can add her relatives. So that's what I do. I add her relatives. And it says, select a family member to add to your tree. Okay, we have to get back to that, back to that screen. It says, her father is Lorenzo Dow Wade. Is that who you want? And I'm going to say yes. And her mother is Catherine Ann Van Dyke. Is that what you want? I guess we're going to start with her father, because it's just going to let us do one at a time. And so now I do continue. Now it says this option is available only for the end of the line individuals. And that was who was showing up at the very end of that. So it says, okay, is this the Lorenzo Dow Wade you want? And I look, make sure the birth and the death are the same. And I say, yes, save. Now, if I go back to the tree, it's going to show me not just Lily Wade, but it's going to show me her father. And I can do the same now, person by person, and add. And I can build my tree by adding person by person through. Now here it says, which of these people do you want to add? Well, these are brothers and sisters. I want to add them all, but you know what else? I want to add up to 4. I want to add as many generations, up to 4 generations as are available. So that's the one I'm going to choose. And it says only if this is the last person on your tree is this going to work on your tree on Ancestry. Now it's going to add up to 4 more generations as far as I can go, and it's going to add them. So I can build my whole tree name by name this way. And that's nice that I can do that. So we're going to call that the number 2 way to build your tree on Family Search. And if you only have a couple of generations, a few generations, that's fine. Now on my ancestral quest over here, I have 8,000 people. I don't want to add 8,000 people one at a time, but I want them to be added, and I want what I know about them to be added. Not necessarily what Family Search knew about them, but what I knew about them. So if I come back to Ancestral Quest, and each of these other programs that I mentioned have this same option, and I go to File, one of the things that I can do is export. So if I come down here to the word export and I click on it, then it says, okay, we want to make a GEDCOM. And a GEDCOM is a genealogy communication file. And until the last few years, GEDCOM was the gold standard of ways to be able to transfer information from a database, a personal database, to somebody else. And you can send them by email, you can put them on flash drives, you can put them on floppy disk drives if you wanted, but most of us nowadays use email or flash drives. And so it says, what type do you want to import? Well, I want to import the very latest that I've got, and then I choose which of these things I want to input. I don't want to import LDS data if I'm sending this to my cousins. And then I have to decide if I want all of the individuals or if I want partial. And if I want partial, then I have to choose select, and it's going to give me options and walk me through the different ways to make a GEDCOM of who I wanted the GEDCOM. If I just say I want all, then I click all and I say export. And then I have to tell my computer where on my computer I want it, or I could say I want it on a flash drive. If I clicked this PC, I could choose the flash drive that's stuck into the PC. I can say, right now it automatically wants to put it in my file called genealogy data. But I can choose, I could put it on the desktop. You know, I put a lot of things on my desktop. That'd be an easy way to do it. Wherever I want to put it, I put it there, and then I click on the word export. And it only takes a few seconds, and all 8,000 people are in this GEDCOM. And that's wonderful. Now, let's go ahead and do that. Let's say export. Maybe maybe I could have chosen a file that was smaller, but oh, I thought I had 8,000 people. I only have 6,000 people in this file. Okay, so I click OK, and it was going to put it in my documents file called genealogy data. Okay, so now I'm going to minimize that, and I'm going to go back to my tree. I'm going to go back to my tree called class. Actually, let's make another tree and call it class 2. Create and manage a tree called upload a GEDCOM file. I could say create a new tree and then say upload a GEDCOM file, but I'm just going to say upload a GEDCOM file. And what am I going to name it? I'm going to name it class 2. I'm going to say, yes, I accept the information that I'm telling it to put. And now I have to say where this GEDCOM file is. This GEDCOM file is in documents, and it's genealogy data. And it's called Michael. That's it right there. So I just click it and then I say open. And then I say upload. I could tell them the purpose. I could say that I was just importing this tree for my class. Or I could say, this is my mother's ancestors that I'm trying to put in. So now we will come and look on trees. And I have one called for class. It doesn't look like it. Oh, it's still importing. It's still importing. Create and manage trees. It's only at 90%. That's why I didn't see it so comfortably. So when it gets to 99% and 100%, I will suddenly have a tree, and here's all my trees, and I'll have a tree named class 2. These other classes I did in practice. Now, why do I want more than one tree? John, what's your question?
If you don't have a database, if you don't have path filled out or ancestor quest, you cannot do this if you just have family search.
If you just have family search, you have to do either enter every name by itself, one at a time, or else go to family search and download 4 generations, then go to the end of the line person and see their profile and choose that you want to move some of their names in, and then you go to the end of the line again and do the same thing.
Okay, yeah.
So that is certainly doable, but it takes a while. Now, is it worth having it on Ancestry to do it? Yeah, probably. Now, the more generations you have, the harder it's going to be. Now, something else you could do is, if you were just working right now on your wife's line, then you could just import hers and not have to worry about importing yours as well. And her pedigree chart and all the people associated to it are probably smaller than yours are. So if I was really going to take a serious week and do research about my Notman line, then I could just import the Notman people and not have to worry about everybody else. So then it wouldn't take so long. Did you notice it went pretty fast to 80%, but it's taking longer to get past 90. But it's going to be there in a minute. So why do I have more than one tree? Nancy for Ancestry is all of my family lines. More is because my daughter-in-law asked me last week for help in figuring out some problems that she has about her grandfather. And so I made a family tree with her family in it so that I could only open up that tree when I'm doing her research. This is my sister's tree. She and I did it together when she was first getting her Ancestry account started. And this is actually her husband's side of the family. And then the Clark family tree, I started that one to check out my husband's birth family because I had some DNA questions about my husband's birth family, and I wanted to be able to keep track of them separate. And frankly, I don't want all of his birth father stuff in my stuff. So I have it in its own file. Now I am at 100%. My tree has finished uploading, and I called it class 2. So let's come over here, and it didn't give me class 2. It gave me Nancy Michael 2017 for Ancestry. That was the name of my GEDCOM. So there it is. Now I can rename this. I could rename this class 2 if that would serve a purpose. But so now if I click on these people, I am going to automatically see beyond them. I have, well, maybe not on Sarah Neal, but on most of these, I can go back farther and see beyond them. Now, what is the fourth way? We really never talked about way number 1, did we? Let's talk about the fourth way. The fourth way is, what is the next way then to do a tree? So I come under trees and I look under create and manage. And that's the screen we were out a few minutes ago. Now I can share this with somebody else, or I can accept what somebody else shared. So when Alice and I created her husband's tree, and I'm the owner of that tree because I was the one that did it first, but then it says one person is invited. So I sent an invitation to Alice by clicking on where it says one person invited. I clicked on that. It used to say invite family. And so I gave them Alice's name and her email and said I wanted to invite her, and she accepted the invitation. So now she and I can look at the same tree. So that was quicker for us to do that than for her to resubmit everything on her own. So that is way number 4. So now let's go back to way number 1. And that would be for me to take it when I started it out. If I didn't import it from Family Search, I would start out with just a couple of names, like my name and my mom and dad. But I could go to whichever square and I could click on any of those first people, and I could click on, it would say beside their name, it would say add relative. Here's one over here where it says that. It says that I could add the father for Nancy, whatever that name is. I never could pronounce it. Enrouty. It says add father. And so I could click on add father, and it says add a new person. And if I'm going to add a new person, I fill in their names. I have to state whether they're living or deceased. It certainly is better if I also put in the gender, and then I put in as much other information as I know about them, and I push save. Now, I don't know who her parents are, so I'm not going to put something in. But that is how I would go about adding. Now, I would do the same if I found out more about a child. So, for example, if I were to choose my son Mike, and I wanted to add a relative of his, I could click on that, add relative, and it would ask me who I wanted to add. Well, let's add my daughter-in-law. So what is her name? Her name is Nicole Marie Lynch. And she's female, she's still living. And I could fill in her birth date and then push save. And now she will show up in this tree. So that is how you do it if you want to add person by person by person. And I showed you that that's how I started out with my Ancestral Quest file, is I added person by person. Some really good genealogists suggest that anybody who is not confident or has any questions at all about the tree that they want to work on, that they start out by adding every single person in by hand. And that way you can check on problems and you really can be sure about that things are correct and that all the temple work's done. Now, I don't want to add in that many people. And I feel confident in my mother's research and the information that I have accumulated in Ancestral Quest. So probably in most cases, I'm going to take it from Family Search. Now, any comments? Which of the rest of you agree with taking it from Family Search? What are the pros and cons as you look at
As I look at it, the time it would take me to convert that, I can go find a whole bunch of brand new names on Family Search.
Okay.
Because the time it would take, you know.
And you're confident enough about the people that created that file that though you'll keep your eyes open as you look, you're willing to accept it.
Well, I'm the one that's creating it all.
On Family Search? On your wife's side, yes, but not on your side.
Oh, yeah, not on my side, right.
Yeah. Okay, Ed, do you have any comments about that?
I don't have any comments about it, but where other people have combined families that should not have been combined in Family Tree, like somebody has more than one set of parents, I don't think I want to import that until I've researched it out.
Okay.
Yeah, I have.
Now you could delete it from your Ancestry file. Okay, you could, but I tend to agree. Brother Bryant, have you had any experience or any comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm starting to get more familiar with how to add audio files and pictures onto Family Search. Zooming in, zooming out. Where I'm at in northeastern Arizona, there's a lot of people that are having a real hard time understanding even how to use it, how to use that website. So, but it's easy to use it.
Are you
become more familiar
about Ancestry or about Family Search?
Family Search.
Okay, that was last week's lesson. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Okay.
Yeah, I've used that Ancestry as well. I've used that too.
Okay. Well, let's look up one of these people, and by clicking on them, we get their card, and then we choose their profile, and so then I get the page with my grandpa. And the things about Ancestry that are particularly good are that, well, this on, when we open up a page on Family Search, we get the words details and sources and gallery and memories and temple work. So here on Ancestry, we get life story, and life story is a computer generated story of them plus their pedigree chart. Facts is the profile page like we were looking at a minute ago, and it's going to give us lots of details. Gallery is going to be pictures, and this where it says upload media, that is how we would add pictures of our grandparents or ourselves or our further back or other memories that we have of them. I don't think it has to be pictures. One of the most recent ones that I added was a picture of the needle that my grandfather used to sew his potato sacks closed. Because I think that shows a little bit about his life. He was a sheep man and a potato farmer. And so to be able to see, I'm glad that I have that potato sewing together needle. So I would go to upload media to do those things. Then we see here the word hints. Hints is little green leaves in Ancestry. On Family Search, it's little blue icons. But these are places that the computer programmers have generated algorithms that they think might be about my grandfather. Now, also, here is something that's great, is it's going to list my grandfather and his parents and his children, and then here are sources that either me or somebody else has already added to Ancestry about my grandfather. Now, on Family Search, that would be under the column called Sources. And in here, it's listed as sources, but first of all, you have to go to the facts page. And if I click on hints, right away, I'm going to get 17 different possible things that my grandfather is in. I can see that 3 people have made ancestry trees that include my grandfather. And I could do review, and one by one, I could look at those trees. I can see this was a land patent. That's when he got a homestead from the Homestead Act from the US government. Here is where he's on Find a Grave. Here's another picture of his grave. And I can go down to, gee, did that say that was inserted by Trish? Oh my goodness, I did not know that this cousin of mine was doing any family search. That's very interesting. So I can keep going down and finding things. Each one I have the option to review. Here it says this is the 1920 census. When I click on review, it automatically gives me the option to compare details, and it is going to show what my tree says and what this record says. And it's going to give me the option of comparing through and choosing whether or not this, I need to click on the right arrow, whether or not all of this information is correct, that this is in fact my grandpa. And then if I want to add it, then I can click on this button that says, would you like to save this information to your tree? And I can do it. That's the same as we do when we attach a source in Family Search. So that is a very good thing, because that way we can compare sources. Now let's look at my dad, my grandpa in Family Tree, in Family Search, and I'll go to the family tree part, and I'll go then from there to the tree, and then that'll show me my pedigree chart, and I'll choose my grandpa for my pedigree chart, and I'll go to his index card, and then from his index card, I'll go to his page. Now, here is something really neat about Ancestry. Here is a list where it says, these are other partner sites that might have information about your grandpa. So I'm going to click on Ancestry and look what happens. It opens up Ancestry and it shows me the same things I would find on Ancestry if I were to do a search for my grandpa. So it is going to list all of these possible clues or hints or beliefs about my grandpa, and it's going to show me to them immediately. So immediately when I have somebody in Family Search and I want to know if I did a search for records on them. Now this isn't going to show me always pedigree charts. It's going to show me the records that people have. Now here it says London, England school admissions. Well, that's not the right one. I know that. My grandpa never left the farm in Colorado. But find a grave with these details, that would be him. World War II registration for the draft, that would be him. And so I was able to get that searching done, not a pedigree chart, but searching just by going in my Family Search, just by clicking on that word that says Ancestry. So isn't that neat how we can go back and forth from one to the other that easy? Yes, John.
Okay, down in, when you were down there at the bottom, it says that was the first page of 2,200 pages.
Okay.
Do you ever go all the way and see what?
No, I don't. I'm going to try to get that list as short as I can. So I'm going to filter it. I'm going to want to keep his name as Claude Walter. I am going to want to keep Everett. I'm going to leave it there because it's possible that it would have a different last name for him. His birthday, I'm going to click. I want it within 2 years of that. That he was born in Beulah, Colorado. I'm going to be more exact with that one. I can change all of these things. I could say maybe he died in Albuquerque. I could move that over to exact, and I could click update. And it says it didn't find a single good match when I did those. Yeah. So maybe I'm going to want to be less exact. Maybe I'm going to want to scoot these back in the middle. But I'm going to want to go through only a couple hundred, maybe only 20. I'm not going to want to go through 2,000. Yeah. Especially if that other list that was on the first page or two was already giving me people from London.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Okay. Now, let's take just a minute and go back to Family Search, and let's show Brother Bryant a little bit about these things. When I found, I know, when I first went to Family Search has two main parts. It has the tree part, which is about people, and then it has the search part, which is about records that have people's names in them. Now, if I was in a Navajo, I would want to look for some of the records I would want to search in would be the Bureau of Indian Affairs censuses, or the Bureau of Indian Affairs school records, or LDS church censuses, United States censuses. I'm not sure at which point a Navajo would be listed in the United States Census. I don't remember that. I used to know. But I would do search and to look for records, but I would do tree to find my pedigree chart. So if I did tree, and I'm going to push the plus sign so it gets a little bit bigger, then here's the people that it already knows about that are in my family. And so if you are from Northeast Arizona, I kind of was making the assumption you're Navajo. Maybe you're not. this then is where you would
Yes, I'm
start.
Navajo.
You are Navajo? We served a mission
Yes.
in Indian Wells.
Yeah, I know where Indian Well is.
Do ya?
Yep.
It was a good mission for us. But so when you find your people, then you will add them here. Now to add somebody to this, and I'm going to have to go way back till I find a line where it gives me a chance to add somebody in order. Okay, when I got to the end, I don't know Moses Johnson's father's name. So to add his father, I would have to come here and click on Add Father, and then it would give me a square to add his information. So that's a brief introduction of how to add people in Family Search. And I did a brief an introduction on how to add them to Ancestry. Now, how do you remember these things? You practice. One thing that's nice to know is that nearly anything that can be done more than one way, and you can't ruin it. You might accidentally erase somebody sometimes, but in Family Search, that's next to impossible. It's maybe a little bit easier in Ancestry. But this is how you do it, and you play with it. Now, earlier I had said I wanted to spend my last minute of my Ancestry class showing you something that's new. And so to do this, I'm going to need to go to Trees. At least I hadn't noticed it before. And I'm going to show you Nancy from Ancestry. Now, I had my DNA done. So if I go to, I had my DNA done and sent to Ancestry. If you have your DNA done at Ancestry, and you can have it sent to most of the other companies. And that way more than one company can help you. But so if I come to DNA, look at this fun thing I just found. I click on DNA and it says, go to your DNA results summary. So this is where it tells me that I'm part Scottish and part this and part that. And once again, in order for me to see it, I have to move my Zoom information. And I come over here to this word called Settings, and I choose it. And then it says, okay, I have general information with test details and trees. And I've linked my DNA to my tree called Nancy for Ancestry. But I also have the option to look under DNA matches. So if I click on under DNA matches, no, that's wrong. It's up here. The test is linked to Nancy K. Everett in the Nancy for Ancestry. Now, it's always possible it was a different file instead of Nancy for Ancestry, and then I'd have to change this. But in my case, it isn't. So when I clicked on this, it says I'm now linked with, my DNA is linked to my name in the file called Nancy for Ancestry. So I go back to my trees and I go back to my Nancy for Ancestry file, and I notice this. This is interesting. Down here in the bottom, well, let me go up to, right now it's set at my son. I'm going to change me, and I'm going to click the home button and see if that moves me over. Move my mother over. That's good. And I'm going to come down here to this DNA icon, and I'm going to click on it, and it is going to say, it's going to give me this window that says, do you want to look at exact matches, or do you want to look at through line icons? Your through lines are all of the people who, according to their pedigree chart, have DNA that matches yours. So I clicked on that and said on, and then I clicked on this DNA marker, and it's got a little blue thing over here. These are all of the people that my DNA matches. So look at that. Every single person on my family tree, some of their other descendants have submitted their DNA, and I can see who I've got a DNA match with. Isn't that interesting? And that would be part of the DNA lesson if we were having a DNA lesson tonight, which we're not. But I just thought that was such fun to be able to see that. So that's there we go. Any more questions for tonight? I'm going to go to stop sharing. And once again, I have to move my Zoom information pictures out because I'm going to stop the share so that I can see your whole pages, your whole faces. Any questions or comments from tonight? Did you each get an idea of something to try?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. Ed, did you already know that you could see those DNA things on Ancestry?
No, that was new to me. Also, Nancy, I wanted to say that in your lessons and in your presentations like tonight, your voice is very easy to understand. And I appreciate that because sometimes speakers, mumble or their diction is weird, but we can understand you very well and you're well organized, give great presentations, and I always learn something from you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ed. That's a big compliment. So what's the next step after Ancestry? If we did Ancestry tonight, what's the next step? What lesson do we have next week? I'm overdue in
Ancestry
giving.
part 2, you could do more on Ancestry, Nancy.
I think I could. Should we do that next week, more on Ancestry? Okay, maybe we'll do following through some hints and sources and transferring sources from Ancestry to Family Search.